And King Joram returned to be healed in Yezra'el of the wounds which Ramim had given him in the Ramah, when he fought against Hazael, king of Aram. And Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Yehudah, went down to see Joram, the son of Ahab, in Yezra'el, because he was sick. Of the books called Kings, the second, chapter 9. And Elisha the prophet called one of the sons of the prophets, and said to him, Gird up thy loins, and take this vial of oil in thy hand, and go to Ramoth Galaad. And when thou comest thither, look out there Jehu, the son of Jehoshaphat, the son of Nimshi, and go in, and make him arise up from among his brothers, and bring him to a room in a room. Then take the vial of oil, and pour it on his head, and say, Thus saith Yahweh, I have anointed thee king over Yisrael. Then open the door, and flee, and tarry not. So the young man, the prophet, went to Ramoth Galaad. And when he came, behold, the captains of the host were sitting. And he said, A word have I to thee, O captain. And Jehu said, To whom of us all? And he said, To thee, O captain. And he arose, and went into the house, and he poured the oil on his head, and said to him, Thus saith Yahweh, the God of Yisrael, I have anointed thee king over the people of Yahweh, even over Yisrael, and thou shalt smite the house of Ahab thy master, that I may avenge the blood of my servants the prophets, and the blood of all the servants of Yahweh at the hand of Izabel. For the whole house of Ahab shall perish, and I will cut off from Ahab every one urinating for himself into a wall, and him that is shut up, and him that is left at large in Israel. And I will make the house of Ahab like the house of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha the son of Ahiah. And the dogs shall eat Izebel in the portion of Yezra'el, and there shall be none to bury her. And he opened the door and fled. Then Jehu came forth to the servants of his lord, and one said to him, Is all well? For what reason came this mad fellow to thee? And he said to them, Ye know the man, and what his talk was. And they said, It is false. Tell us now. And he said, Thus and thus spoke he to me, saying, Thus saith Yahweh, I have anointed thee king over Yisrael. Then they hasted, and took every man his garment, and put it under him on the top of the stairs, and blew the sounding horn, saying, Jehu is king. So Jehu the son of Jehoshaphat, the son of Nimshi, conspired against Joram. Now Joram was keeping Ramoth Galaad, he and all Yisrael, because of Hazael king of Aram. But King Jehoram was returned to be healed in Yezra'el of the wounds which Aram had given him when he fought with Hazael king of Aram. And Jehu said, If this be your soul, then let none escape, and go forth out of the city to go to tell it in Yezra'el. So Jehu rode in a chariot, and went to Yezra'el, for Joram lay there, and Ahaziah the king of Yehudah was come down to see Joram. Now the watchman was standing on the tower in Yezra'el, and he spied the company of Jehu as he came, and said, I see a company. And Jehoram said, Take a horseman, and send to meet them, and let him say, Is it peace? So there went one on horseback to meet him, and said, Thus saith the king, Is it peace? And Jehu said, What hast thou to do with peace? Turn thee behind me. And the watchman told, saying, The messenger came to them, but he cometh not back. Then he sent out a second on horseback, who came to them and said, Thus saith the king, Is it peace? And Jehu answered, What hast thou to do with peace? Turn thee behind me. And the watchman told, saying, He came even to them, and cometh not back. And the driving is like the driving of Jehu, the son of Nimshi, for he driveth in madness. And Jehoram said, Bind the chariot. And they bound his chariot. And Jehoram, king of Yisrael, and Ahaziah, king of Yehudah, went out, each in his chariot, and they went out to meet Jehu, and found him in the portion of Naboth, the Yezra'eli. And it was, when Jehoram saw Jehu, that he said, Is it peace, Jehu? And he answered, What peace, so long as the whoredoms of thy mother Jezebel and her witchcrafts are so many? And Jehoram turned his hands and fled, and said to Ahaziah, There is treachery, O Ahaziah. And Jehu drew his bow with his full strength, and smote Jehoram between his arms, and the arrow went out at his heart, and he sunk down in his chariot. Then said Jehu to Badkar his captain, Take up and cast him in the portion of the field of Naboth the Yezra'eli. For remember how that, when I and thou rode together after Ahab his father, Yahweh laid this burden upon him. Surely I have seen yesterday the blood of Naboth, and the blood of his sons, saith Yahweh, and I will requite thee in this portion, saith Yahweh. Now therefore take and cast him into the portion of ground, according to the word of Yahweh. But when Ahaziah the king of Yehudah saw this, he fled by the way of the garden house. And Jehu followed after him, and said, Smite him also in the chariot. And they smote him at the ascent of Gur, which is by Yeblaam. And he fled to Megiddo, and died there. And his servants carried him in a chariot to Jerusalem, and buried him in the sepulchre with his fathers in the city of David. And in the 11th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, began Ahaziah to reign over Yehudah. And when Jehu was come to Yezra'el, Jezebel heard of it, and she painted her eyes, and attired her head, and looked out at the window. And as Jehu entered in at the gate, she said, Is it peace, thou Zimri, thy master's murderer? And he lifted up his face to the window and said, Who is on my side? Who? And there looked out to him 2 or 3 eunuchs. And he said, Throw her down. So they threw her down, and some of her blood was sprinkled on the wall and on the horses, and he trod her under foot. And when he was come in, he did eat and drink, and said, See now to this cursed woman, and bury her, for she is a king's daughter. And they went to bury her, but they found no more of her than the skull and the feet and the palms of her hands. For what reason they came back and told him, and he said, This is the word of Yahweh, which he spoke by his servant Eliyahu the Tishbe, saying, In the portion of Yezra'el shall the dogs eat the flesh of Izebel, and the body of Izebel shall be as dung upon the face of the field in the portion of Yezra'el, so that they shall not say, This is Izebel. Now Achab had 70 sons in Shamaron, and Jehu wrote letters and sent to Shamaron to the rulers of Yezra'el, even the elders, and to them that brought up the sons of Achab, saying, And now, as soon as this letter cometh to you, seeing your master's sons are with you, and there are with you chariots and horses, a fortified city also, and armor, look ye out the best and meetest of your master's sons, and set him on his father's throne, and fight for your master's house.